Of the race for Texas' 23rd congressional seat, which stretches from San Antonio to El Paso, covers 29 counties, 2 time zones, and roughly 800 miles of Texas border.
And this week, we're getting you closer to the 2 leading candidates, incumbent Republican Will Hurd and challenger Democrat Gina Ortiz Jones. With Election Day less than just weeks away, the woman who wants to be your representative in Congress is here with us in the studio right now. Good morning, Gina.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you. Okay, let's talk about college education. I mean, millions of Americans are literally drowning under the debt, and Texans, according to Forbes, are the second highest in the country when it comes to student, debt. $1.5 trillion for Americans as well. That's right. More than auto and credit card debt. Are the students not doing something right, or should the government be doing something about this?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And it was a 4-year Air Force ROTC scholarship that allowed me to get an education after I graduated from John Jay High School. Had that scholarship not been there, I would not have been able to afford college. So I know exactly how important it is that we invest in the next generation. 1 in 10 kids in this country goes to school in Texas.
But how do you do that? How do you pay for it if the government is helping?
Sure. So I think we have to invest in things like Pell Grants, right? I think this is so critical. You're right. We cannot set our young people up for crushing debt just because they want to go on and get a college education. I think we also have to invest in things like advanced skills training and trade schools. In this district, 1 in 5 folks has a college education. I think regardless of whether you have a college education, you have to have a path to the middle class. I think it is up to us to invest in those opportunities. Unfortunately, my opponent actually voted to slash funding for Pell Grants. I don't think that's the right move. I think we need to invest in our young people and in ways that set them up for success.
We are in Military City, USA. We have huge military community, huge retired military community here. Commercials against you say you support another round of BRAC closing.
That could not be further from the truth. I do not support closing military bases. I would not vote to restart that process. As an Air Force veteran, I trained at Lackland Air Force Base. It was my first assignment in the Air Force. I know exactly how important our bases are, not only to our national security, but also to our economic security. I look forward to bringing more missions to this district. And unfortunately, these commercials want to distract from the reality of Will Hurd's voting record, the times he voted against our health care, the times he voted for a tax plan that now puts it on the backs of people that rely on Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid to foot the bill for a $2 trillion tax cut for the wealthiest people in this country.
So if BRAC talks come again, you would not vote for it?
That's correct.
Let's look at the immigration issue. We have thousands of people, immigrants, heading to the United States from the Honduras right now. Where do you stand on a potential border wall or closing the border at some point when you face something like this?
Yeah. I think first and foremost, my top priority is going to be the safety and security of the American people. It has to be, right? We also have to make sure that we've got a strong, a smart, a fair border security policy. We also have to make sure the good women in our border patrol have the resources that they need to secure our border. Are there parts of the border that could use additional fencing? Absolutely. Is there a role for technology? Absolutely. Let's look at these things. I don't think a border wall that would cost $25 billion, that would frankly destroy many of the economies along the border, as I've heard from local elected officials themselves when they talk about the border wall. And frankly, no one can think of Big Bend with a border wall running right through it. So that's not the right way to go. And I think we've got to look at some smart solutions. I don't think a $25 billion wall gets us there.
But you would support additional security?
Absolutely. First and foremost, we've got to make sure American citizens are kept safe. We've got to make sure that our men and women in Border Patrol have the resources to do what we've asked them to do.
All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Democratic candidate Gina Ortiz Jones.